the Father, the Son. This is all I can send you, Kal-El. It's not who I am underneath that defines me, but what I do. You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Just because someone stumbles and loses their path doesn't mean they're lost forever. You're making me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I let my father die because I trusted him. Because he was convinced that I had to wait. That the world was not ready. What do you think? With great power comes great responsibility. We are Groot. We are Groot. We are Groot. We are Groot. We're Groot. We're Groot. We're Groot.
Hey guys, welcome to another update on our Kickstarter for Incredi-Girl. So yesterday I was a bit dismayed, as you know, as someone would, when they reached the goal and then for whatever reason, and it's understandable, somebody decided not to back it, and I fully understand that. I just thought it was somebody just playing a joke on me, but that's the first thing you think. It's like, it's about you, it's about you. But no, I'm so glad we've got our, right now it's funded, it's overfunded, and I want it to be more funded, and because it makes me feel safe. So we're $64 right now over our goal, and I just want to give you guys an update about that. And I want to thank all our folks that have backed us and are backing us and continue to support us. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And also, our friends out there in at Niobe Comics, they've been great. They've been really supportive. Also, there's so many others, and I'm sure I'll forget their names. So I'm just going to say anybody who's been on Niobe and anybody who's been on our show. So thank you on our podcast. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate all your help, all your sharing, and I want to thank all the admins of the Facebook groups out there, all the support groups, all the funding groups, all the Kickstarter groups, all the different Indiegogo, all that, fund my comic, all that stuff, man. Just thank you for allowing us to post on there. We're new to the game. It's sometimes you don't know what to post, and sometimes you don't know what works, and so we ask our friends for advice and stuff on that, and and we listen. And I listen, and sometimes you take it with a grain of salt, but then you realize, hey, yeah, actually they might be right. So thank you for that, and thank you for all the advice we've been given. And it's so I'm really humble, right? Like I don't know, I don't know how to articulate the other day how much grateful I felt. It's just because I've been, when you're working, any success just seems like it's part of the business, but it's not really. It really did feel good to be able to get this book ready to get out there, like just to have this version out there as well, because this is my best friend, Shane Evans' book, right? And his cover, I should say, his cover on it. And so so the variant cover, his version, there's variant cover. I should talk about variant covers. This isn't going to be a long stream. That's just a bit quick one. Variant covers. So I was on the Niobe stream yesterday, just talking about stuff, and they wanted to talk about the comic book and the Kickstarter, how it's going. So they brought up the poster art by James Hill, right? You can see here, and let me just pop that over that way so you get a bit more with James Hill's artwork here, and my flats, color flats, and also Hugo's my design as well, and Hugo Aquino's colors. And they said, well, why don't you put this as a cover? It's such a strong thing. And so I was talking to Hawk just now on Skype, and I said, look, we'll just put three issues of this out for #1 as a variant, because I actually wanted this kind of like to be maybe look at it's going to be a poster, of course, as part of this campaign. But I also wanted to be maybe looking at us because it's on so many different things, as possibly putting it as a cover for issue 2, and but I, taking it under advice, I said, like, if you guys really love it so much, and sometimes, like, look, sometimes you got to pay fan service, right? You got to listen to your fans and you got to listen to your advice. And so I said, we'll just put 3 out, right? 3 issues, and this will be 3 of 3 first prints, and I'll actually get hey man, thank you, Neostar. Awesome, thank you, Neostar Productions. Yeah, yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, Neostar was there when the guys were talking about this yesterday. So I on Niobe, and so what I want to say is, yeah, we're going to put 3 of 3 out, and this is the only one that's going to be released as part of issue 1, and we'll decide whether we put this out at issue 2 because we've already got posters of this coming out. But right now, I'm going to get I'll get Hawk to number this. So I'll put it here. Hawk will have to number this poster variant, right? Just so I don't forget, Hawk will number this poster variant 3 only first issue, right? 3 only print, 3 only release, public release. First issue variant. And I think that way, at least you guys know if you got one of these, you're the first 3 in the world to get it, right? And this is James B. Hill books. Art. I don't know if I go my art name or if I go with the thing, but I mean, let's go with yeah, because that guy's a designer, so I might as well put him in there. Design and flats, and if you just bear with me, and colors, of course, by the amazing Hugo Aquino. I just want to tell you guys, like, I've really loved working with my team, man. Like, that's just, yeah, understandable, man. Like, yeah, I'm feeling the same way about other people's campaigns as well. Like, I mean, there's so much I want to spend, and then I looked at my bank account this week. I'm like, oh man, it's tough, and especially when they're finishing. Like, I would love to get Niobe, and I've been like sweating on trying to can I get Niobe, and it's like I'm gonna have to wait. Because and that sucks because it's like the same vein that everybody else is about ours, because they've already invested in other people, and it's money is really tight out there, really seriously. I am honestly, being honest here about that. I understand, because we're running a campaign. We're about to decide where to run a convention or not, and a lot of the artists out there are like really struggling right now, because artists, you make a product, you sell a product. You don't, like, if you're individual, you're not like a part of backed up by a corporation or something. You make one and there's about 10,000 made of it, and so it's a bit hard, and I understand. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I was yeah, I'm yeah. So yeah, I fully understand, man. I understand where everybody's coming from with this, because like there's so many projects you can back out there, so many better ones as well. I'm not out saying this is the best product, but out there, but it's the best that we have brought to the market for ourselves, to the public, to whatever, to Indigo, to Kickstarter, and it's the first one, so I'm really excited, and I'm hoping that the next one will be bigger, the next one will be bigger, the next one will be bigger, and we'll try to do our best to bring you the same quality, the same talent, as possible. Because, and just, I have an amazing team. Seriously, guys, we're already halfway through the second issue, illustrated, inked, right? And I've already lettered, and because I'm the one who designs the book, and I'm the one who letters them, and sets it all up, with the speech bubbles and everything, and the writer, I'm able to, like, yeah, Yeah, you're right. We've got a whole bunch, and but the thing with Shifter, with us being out there, I'm here in New Zealand, and so to get signed books over to the US, it's like double freight costs. So like we got to send it, get them printed, then send it, then print it, and and it's like having send it out to people. So it's kind of like double handling. So our one's coming out of the US, and so but I think when we get to maybe second or third issue, and if and I'm have like I'll have a whole bunch of them, and then I'll get my friend Shane who's here to sign them, and I'll get like James wherever. We'll try to work out how we can actually get them signed issues out there, especially virgin ones and special foil ones and stuff as well. Because even with the foil ones, you can sign it in the inside. You don't want to ruin the cover, right? But yeah, I collect signed books. Like seriously, I took um, Garth Ennis is one of my favorite writers, and Gary, not Gary, Derek Robertson is one of my favorite artists. And the book The Boys, right? I I collected almost every single issue, but at the time in 2014, I only had like about 30 of them or 25 of them. And I went and said to a couple of years earlier, I had been talking to Derek. I said, "Hey man, I'm going to come when if you ever come to New Zealand, right? If you ever come to New Zealand, um, right? Okay. Well, if they're willing to wait, I'll discuss. Yeah, we'll be. I'll we'll try to suss out some sort of like a live stream just talking about that in the future, and saying like once the books drop, I'll be able to say, hey, look, me and Shane can sign our variant cover, and I can sign the other ones, and which we'll work something out. Because like if like I said, if we're here to supply what the fan wants, not change the book, but what the covers can do, and what if if the backers want covers that are signed, sure, I'm going to work my butt off try to get that to happen. I mean, like this one here, right? We did this is the web comic version that we did as a short sort of like which I paid for myself as a kind of a release to see what people here locally would be into, and part of the web comic series that we did, which is very very you know, very old style that we did way the artworks back in 2007 when we first worked on it, or 2010, and there's lots of text on it and stuff, and so we had people come back and said, "Hey, look, uh, you're right. Communication is a key." Yeah, and and I'm gonna. That's why I set this up. Like I wanted to be able to come out and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing with this on a regular basis," and as well as promote everybody else. But so when we put it out, people said, "Oh, there's a lot of text on that, man," and like, and then I said, "You're right." I didn't think about it because I'm like involved in writing, and I'm like, I want to give everybody as much information as possible as I could, because I don't want to waste their time, especially when they paid for the book, right? Because for us, it costs about $12 New Zealand, right? And that's just to get it in your hand. And we basically didn't make bank or anything. It just, I, I sold a first edition Miles Morales uh, Ultimates 4, whatever it was, and just to pay for my webcomic print, because I wanted to show that I actually have it here. But I also came back away from it thinking, you know, I think I'll hold off doing an international release of it, and I'll rework the team. And you guys have heard me say like rework the book and then get a new team to do the artwork, because at that time I was just trying my best to do it. I had we were doing web comics at that point, and it's not the same feel. I know a lot of time people can say, yeah, it's got web comics, same thing, but sometimes when you try to compete with the Western market, um, you have to really bring your A game. And we wanted to bring our A game. I wanted to bring my A game as a first international release of the book, not to my local community at our convention, because we're like Incredi-Girl. Like Incredi-Girl has been our mascot for Plunge convention for about 5 years now, right? And so we've been promoting this character that I created in 2007 for my niece, right? And then we slowly got her to be a mascot for the convention. our community, like community fund it. Like the community funds the convention. Like we get funding grants to do it. We also have artists pay for stalls to do it, and whatever we make back, we put back into it. And so, yeah, I just thought, why don't I release the webcomic version, right? So we put 2 issues out, so you can actually read the webcomics, right? I'll give you a link to that, so you can actually see that, the background to the story, and there are some spoilers, I think in issue 2 or so, but like if you want to hang out and not, if you want to hold off, you know, to be surprised, wait for issue 2 of the comic book to come out, right? The print comic book to come out, because it's such a cool thing. The other thing I want to put up here, this Neostar just said, indeed, as long as you're honest and consistent, people are usually understanding for the most part. Yeah. You know, we try our best. Like, I mean, one thing, I've been in sales for like almost about 12 to 15 years of my life. And I know that if you're really honest with your customer, you can really, there's a trust you build that you cannot, ruin, and even if it's the cost of you, I've learned that even if it's the cost of me apologizing or whatever, or going, trying to, I can't go back on my word, and I've learned that through all the work that I've been doing in the community and stuff. And sometimes there's things that you just get, they're out of your control. You just can't control, and hopefully people can understand that. But if there's things in my control, I will try to do it the best I can. So thank you guys for all your support. Yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, when I was a kid, we there was like a pool room and a video arcade room in Moira, where I lived. It's a really tiny town, like really small town. People take care of themselves in small towns. I'll tell you that much. And I'd go there, and they'll be like, yeah, it was a secondhand shop, and then I just realized it was a secondhand shop. They had clothing and stuff, and they had a pool table at the back, and also they had the black light posters from like the 70s, man, like the 80s on there, and they look so cool, and all right. Dark gift, yeah. So Shifter said he meant dark gift, not dark Jib 5. Yeah. And so thank you for joining and watching, man. I appreciate it, guys, both yourself and Neostar. Yeah, so it's that sort of stuff just blows my mind. Like, I actually, here we go. So talking about like that, this here is actually a glow in the dark t-shirt I just painted up myself, right? So this is actually the IAG, and this one's come off, the eyes come off, that I actually painted as a glow in the dark thing. And also, this is one of the characters, and this is a Harry's glow in the dark wand. So I just bought it for that. But another thing I want to show you guys as part of this right now, I just want to do a bit of a promotion for somebody else. Good close friends of ours. And to be honest, like I said, we're a very small artist community here in Whangarei, and we're quite close knit. So the reason, you saw yesterday, we showed, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we showed designs of the chibi. And so right now there is a plate, a great plate fundraiser for one of our community trusts, like for artists. And so this is something I did last year for them, but I bought it back because I bought it back off the auction because I just wanted to keep it for myself, because I saw, to show that this was my first painting that I did hand painted of Incredi-Girl with my own chibi design. Now the chibi design came about because of Hannah Mitchell saying to me, who was one of our, like, in 2019, 2018, 2020, was looking after our children's area. And she's got a degree and stuff, and like masters in children's, looking after kids and stuff like that sort of thing, and she's a city planner and stuff like that to do with kids. and she was helping with us. And she said, "Hey, look, last year, the kids had a real hard time um, drawing or coloring with the competition. Do you want to do something a bit more different, like a bit more simple? Because these kids, the artwork that you actually put out for coloring was too difficult. It was too busy for them to figure it out." So I said, "Okay, what shall I do?" And I said, like, you know what? I really like Funko. Really like TVs and stuff like that. My room here is like surrounded by them. Like on that side over here, there's a bunch up there. There's a Batman chibi at the top right there. There's a couple more. All this and Funko Pop. And so I said, maybe, I thought to myself, maybe why don't I do what I love, right? What I love about what's cool, what's like really, like cuddly, animated kind of thing. So I came up with my own design. And so that's what we ended up doing her as, as a chibi. So that was the first kind of my own painting. So it's kind of like, it's a relief. So there's layers and layers and layers of paint on it. But not only that, her eyes glow. It's a glow in the dark paint on that. Arm glow, belt, and I think her boots glow as well. And yeah, and a belt. And so, if I was to turn off the light right now, I'll try that. Let me see if I can do that. It'll be enough light. All right. Not sure if you'll be able to see it. No, it's not working. But yeah, it glows, right? You can just tell it. But like, yeah. So I was so, because it was my first painting, and I don't paint that much anymore. I do ceramic. When it comes to art, I do ceramic sculptures. So at the moment, I'm working on 25 rugby balls with my own neo tribal style artwork that I've designed myself. I've come up with myself over my years as studies and going to school and getting diplomas and degrees and stuff and all that, and just research. So that became the chibi, right? That became our toy design. And this is a great thing about taking advice from people, and that's why I said I'm always open, because I learned that sometimes people know more than you do. Sometimes a lot, to be honest. And if you listen to them and you take it on board and you kind of like work out things to the way you can put out, like in your understanding, you can do some great stuff, man. And yeah, it's actually a lacquer on it. So it's a clear spray paint I put on top. So it'd be like it would like protect the paint so it wouldn't rub off and stuff. However, I did get a little chip on it when I tried to put one of those little those claws that hold like the spring loaded frames. So it just holds the plate, and I realized that that doesn't work. Neo Fiber, Neo Fiber Productions. What does that mean? So yeah, so from that, right, we've from that little idea from I'm going to bring up the website from what was it called, gosh, now I forgot what they call trust. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look it on Facebook. I forgot the name. But from that little I thought, right, to just do something for kids has come this, right, a toy. And a figurine, a chibi figurine of our character. And not only that, it's allowed us to, from that simple, just Hannah going, you know what, why don't you do something for the kids? And now, after consideration, after designing and reworking, we're able to did a 3D model. I did a plate. I gave back to them, and the company basically paid back for the plate. It was a fundraiser. So we were able to say, hey, look, man, you know, like the thing about like coming from a small community like ours, we know each other quite well. We know and we support each other quite well. And Yeah, it was quite tight. Yeah, yeah, that's why it came off. It was like it was like the spring was so tough. It was like really bad. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to use it again. Put that spring on there again. And I'll probably find out something else like better to actually hang it. But I'm just scared it will break because the plate itself is ceramic, right? It's actually China, right? So it's actually ceramic. So it was made by somebody else. So as you can see, I signed it. It's one by one of one. There is no more. And it's yeah, somebody else signed, somebody else actually threw it, as you know, on because I used to do clay, right? I can't anymore because I stopped. That's why I've hand built. So there's a difference between how you can throw a clay on a wheel and how to hand build. So because I had an accident back in my first year, about 2 months into my art school, um, I stopped doing that and I just started building, and so that's how I got it. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, springs get looser if you heat them. Sweet, man. Good idea. All right. Go. You need a blacksmith to. You're right. Yeah. Metal worker. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, I just, I have such a great friends. I mean, I have such a great supportive community. Like all this, like to be honest, guys, I'd given all this up. I had a head injury. I had, I put all my investments into in my um, everything into a shop and into a comic shop in 2014, 2015. Christmas time, I had to close 2015, like after 14 months of, I think 15 months being as a retail outlet, I had to close it because we had competition that really didn't understand the market, didn't actually go to support the community. And so it meant that, like, whatever I built got divided. And with the customer base, the loyals stayed, man. The loyals really stayed and supported. And if you guys check out Card Merchant Whangarei, that's the loyal customers that stayed with me, and now they have their own shop. You know, um, yeah, I think I have a few frames. You're right. I didn't think about that to put it actually in a hardwood frame. Oh, man, that's great, man. Thank you for that shifter. Like I said, people, if you listen to people's advice, if you put it out there, yeah, I am going to do that. I'm going to look for a frame. I think that's the best way. Yeah, just like kind of find it a square box frame and put it in there. That'd be so cool. And yeah, I the other thing is that like I was saying about a community, we really support our community a lot, and we back each other up in what we do. And like, as I was saying, that this whole plunge thing came back after 2 years of just me moping and being depressed because one of our biggest backers, Hinu, right? She's going to be she's standing for parliament, for local government or parliament over in another city now because she's been, that's her journey. She's been a great supporter of the arts, and she actually runs was a general manager of a community group called Art Group Trust called Creative Northern. And we just had a short conversation while I was having a smoke and having a wine outside of friends, who is a close friend now. Never met him before. You know, um, Art Education Center opening. And so she just said, what do you do? I said, well, I used to do this, I used to do this, but right now nothing because I had a dream fell down, and so did I. So I spent 2 years just moping, and I was, because I used to suffer with from a really bad depression, things I hadn't worked out with. And so at that point, I just went back into my depression and just for 2 years just sat around, lay in bed really. And every time I felt down, I just took a pill. I do not advise that. I do not advise that. Deal with your issues, guys. Get help. And for me, I didn't get help. I didn't want to get help. I didn't feel like I needed to get help because I just had tired of trying to get help, because I just felt that nobody would understand what I was going through. So all I did was I'd wake up because I actually suffer from like a car accident and assault injuries. So I actually have spine and neck injuries. So that's why I only get up here for a couple of hours a day and that's it. And the rest is spent in bed. So yeah, so I just basically ended up like being depressed for 2 years and just like taking an antidepressant every time I fell down. Every time I had a single thought about like, you know, that got really dark, I just go pop pill and just zone out and just watch TV. And the only time I ever went out of the house was when I went to have dinner at my sister's, which is very important to me because I once a month I try to make that a ritual as part of my habit to just be with my family and the kids, and because we're very close, and I just like to make sure that I'm touching base all the time because my sister lets me know, right? If I, she always challenges me on whatever I do, and she sets me right, so I don't feel like I get a big head, right? People say your head blows up because you're proud of yourself. I don't get that in my family. They just go, okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Like, are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, all right, back down to earth. So I need that every month, right? I need someone to like close to me in my family who knows me forever, has been with me forever, and be able to tell me that. And so, yeah, yeah, your island has been kicking us with sport all over. They even have a set flinger. It's good you got back from that. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by a set flinger, but is that satellite? Yeah, I think somebody was talking about satellite before. I haven't been keeping up with the news. The only thing I've come across is Twitter and my, there's two parties I used to back. I don't back anymore because I realized that they're only in it for themselves. And now I'm just like going, okay, for Parliament, I don't want any of those people being involved ever again. But yeah, that's all I'm with that sort of thing. With what's in the media out there. But yeah, so I get my sister to basically once a month tell me that I'm just the brother, and all right, so it is a satellite thing. Cool, thank you, Shifter. And that I'm just her brother, right? At the end of the day, I can be doing all these things out here, all these whatever I'm doing out here in the public eye, but when I go back to the family, I'm just a brother, and they set me right. Um, yeah, yeah, and I think you need that. You need that, especially if you're an artist. I think sometimes you can get in your head too much, and sometimes you can get out of your head too much and think, "Oh, look at that! Look at what I've done." And I'm like, I just realized that I just got to keep doing my work, and I am involved in a lot, and I try to help other people, and I found that like you just gotta let people do their thing. And you're right, making art is good. And this is the thing that my sister told me, right? So coming out of my depression, I after talking to Hinu and about that, I moved into my own place. I was really ticked off about having to move out of the place that I was in. But it's understandable, you sometimes get, people get tired of you living there because I'd been renting for so many years. And so at the end of it, I was like, okay, you got to go find your own place. So I did. My sister helped me find my own place, right? And so I've got an apartment, and now I was by myself. And then my sister goes to me. I said to her the same night I moved in, I said, like, I'm setting this place up. Can you come and hang out? Because I'm just getting really down. She said, listen, man, you need to sort out, uh, you know, yourself. You need to figure out what makes you happy, and then you got to work on that. And and I said, okay, what makes me happy? Art, music, art, music. And that basically started me on this journey, right? Back again after being out of it for about almost like 3, 4 years. And then realizing that I had all these options available to me from Rising Sun Comics, right? So for those of you guys who don't know, um, we do our own we have our own studio, right? We're a studio, and so we also have an outlet and a connection to Rising Sun Comics, who help us to get our books out there, help us to publish our studio books, and they also support us, and they also supported the convention, right? So if you guys buy a book, a comic from Rising Sun Comics, right here, right, you actually end up having a hand in our convention here in New Zealand, right? You actually have a piece, you actually have kind of like extended support out here, saying you can, for yourself, if you buy a Rising Sun comic book, right, you can say like, hey, I'm actually helping somebody down there in New Zealand, little New Zealand, to reach out to kids to get them into art and illustration and books and stuff. So this is our website here on right. So this is us here. Right, this is plungecomics.com. This is where you'll find out what we've been up to. I haven't updated it in the last couple of months because I've been busy with everything else, and we should be updating it soon to do with our plunge convention. But on that site, you'll see free comics, web comics. You see what we've been up to. Like I said, it hasn't been updated for at least 6 months, since April, and because I've been busy with the other thing. And by the way, I'm a one man person. Right. So I'm doing this. I'm doing, 3 podcasts, about almost 3 podcasts or 4 podcasts a week. I am running a comic studio. I'm writing the comics. I'm creating about 6, 7 titles coming out, like individual comic books coming out. And each one of them is about 4 or 6 issues alone, miniseries, right? On top of that, I'm running a community-based pop culture convention and art convention, right? On top of that, I'm running all these social media things, as well as doing all the editing and all that. So it gets a bit tiring, and something sometimes ends up having to, put on the side while I do something else. And so I've had to make a choice that next year I'll just need to take a break from the convention. We'll still do little community ones where, like, if somebody's putting a festival, we'll go and put our table up and support that way, and also keep ourselves out there in the community, because I know how much value we are to the community, especially with the comic side and pop culture side, and bringing together artists and writers together. Like, we've got novelists who join us at our pop culture thing. So that allows kids to see, hey, I can be a writer as well as an artist, or I can be an artist, or I can be a writer. Yeah, you're right. I did. For the last couple of years, I did have a couple of apprentices setting up the plunge side of things. But all of it costs, right? So, like I said, we're just ourselves right now, and we don't have the funds to bring in all that help. But hopefully in time, we'll be able to get there. And, so next year, like I said, I'm taking a break so that the year after I come back with something really, really cool and original for local community with our convention. But also this gives me time to, like, really get our imprint out there, right? Get Plunge Studios and Rising Sun Oceania all set up with our many titles we got coming up. We've got Templeton, we've got The Tortoise, we've got Templeton Torn, Templeton Horizon 4, which is Horizon 4 is a 6 issue. Templeton Torn is a 2 issue, 60-page full story comic book. So it's 30 pages each. Digital release we're going to do, and we might do it as an actual print release depending on the feedback we get. Then there's also Robot Nation, which is a sci-fi horror. And then there's also Templeton is a supernatural horror comic. So demons and angels, souls, all that creepy stuff. And then also we're looking at Red Dot coming up. We just need an artist for that. To sort out an artist for that one, which is a New Zealand SAS officer, former officer who's now a vigilante. Kind of a takeoff on the Punisher thing, but totally original. Like, I had to do a lot of research for that one because it has to do with our actual army, right? And of course, so does Punisher, but like our one, I wanted to make it as real as possible. So, I've got a few friends that I actually know who have been in the army or have done a lot of research. So I'm quite excited about that. Yeah, you're right. I am the intern. But the thing is, look, no, I don't like to just have people work for me without anything back. So when we have people who volunteer for us, like, actually we have students who volunteer. We have actually corporate funding businesses who actually give us vouchers, right? Like pizza vouchers for lunches or movie vouchers, right? To have, for the time they spend with us. So we give that out. to them, and I ho- and I don't hold on to that because I try to make sure that I don't touch that stuff. But the other thing is that for my, whatever, like tickets, raising funds from tickets, the actual people to help that actually help me organize it all, there's about 4 or 5 of them. I actually take them out for dinner, and I say, here, man, here's dinner, right? Let's have buy whatever you want, we'll pay for it. And yeah, I'm not gonna get into the politics of indie comics and stuff like that. But I just think that you gotta appreciate what you have, because once people realize that you're not appreciating people, they won't come back. And you don't want to break that trust with anybody, especially in the community that I'm in. Like, we're very close knit art community, so I try to do as much as I can, and I don't ask people to do something I won't do. So if I won't do it, why should I be getting somebody else to do it? So I try to do as much as I can, and if I get the help I can, then I I I pass it on. But also, I have somebody who looks after accounts, and I pay them to look after the accounts, stuff like that. We got a lawyer, we got to pay the lawyer. It's just so we're protected and we're looked after, and that's in because when we're out here, you can, especially when you're a one man show kind of thing now. Um, doesn't mean that you're one man person, right? You're not an island, because you've got people who are working for you. So you got to make sure they look after. You've got Hugo coming as a colorist now. You got Kevin out there doing the interior art, doing the designs. Like, I hit him up last night. For me, it was like 12 in the morning, right? 12 at midnight, whatever. I said, hey man, you know, um, Hawk said that he wants this card done up, and he said that on the podcast. So are you okay with that? He goes, yeah, I can do that trading card. I said, oh, can you also do this one here as well? You don't have to, but if you can, that'd be cool. Yeah, okay. And this is like the team we've built, right? Really cool people who understand what we're doing here. We're actually out here. This is our first book, and we want to put as much effort as we can. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I actually have people I bounce ideas off on a regular basis, and I've got mentors and stuff as well, and we've got support in the community. Like I said, like all our posters and flyers that we do for Plunge convention, it's supported by Creative Northland, and they basically do all our they help us with the advertising and printing of that. So there's a lot of support, and like if you go, um, this is our right. So this is I think it's one here. If you go on this page on our website, right, it tells you all about our sponsors on that website. So it shows you who's all that's supporting us out there. You know, on that page, it says copy of page conversion, but like, I'm not sure why that didn't go. But that's we've got a lot of support locally, and we actually raise funds to actually run the 2 conventions this year, to take care of like the actual hiring of the fees, the buildings and stuff. But there's so many outside of that cost, like that you got to do, and that things like travel costs and stuff like that, and extra hiring of stuff, paying people, to actually run the event on day, like to actually be the voice for the day while you're there doing all the one-on-one stuff on the ground floor, on the tables and stuff. There's somebody actually making sure it runs, talks to people and interviews them and stuff. So we actually pay someone to do that, right? So I don't pay myself, but I actually pay someone to do something like that. So yeah, because that keeps everybody, um, on schedule, letting them know what's going on there, because I'm way busy going, okay, you guys are okay there with your table? Do you need anything else? Um, you know, if you need anything, go talk to that, or if you need food over there, and if you're volunteers, okay, I've got stuff for you. Go grab, and sometimes I actually go reach in my pocket and buy them lunch, right? Because they can't go away, so, or they don't have money themselves. I buy them lunch, stuff like that. So it's just we try we try to keep this the value of personnel. And I think because I used to work for franchises, and I used to work for companies, and I learned how hard and how horrible it makes you feel inside when you're working your butt off and someone at the top doesn't care, and they don't want to look after you. They don't want to give you that extra little, thank you, whatever. Or they got given something and they got given a lot of it, like a sponsorship thing, and they just hold off to that rather than going, hey, here, you can have this t-shirt, have this hat, And I felt really bad. And so for me, I'm like, I got to make sure my guys are looked after. If I'm the boss now, if I'm the director now, how would I feel if I'm in their shoes? That's the first thing I kind of think of, right? How would I feel if I'm there? So, and they see that, yeah, and you're right. And we have awesome support, man. Like, we have from Ray Girls High is the best thing in the world, the art department. Like here we have a high school that's just for girls, and there's also just for guys as well. But the girls, the art facilitator there, man, that's the best. I think it's Ashley. I know we had Rachel as well, but Ashley, dude, like that, she goes out there, she talks to the students and gives me a list. It goes, this is what area do you know? This area. Goes, okay, these will be in this area. This is phone number, right? This email, right? There's the guardians. You need to make sure they'll show up on the day. This is a list of them, and I'm like, all sorted. So I'm just, and I make sure they're looked after. I make sure my team looks after them. I let everybody know who the volunteers are. We make them feel appreciated. And when you're running community events, guys, if you're thinking about running community events, appreciate your volunteers. That's the number one thing you got to understand. That just because they're volunteers, they're giving up. They're not there because they, because whatever, but they're because they support you and they believe in the vision. But you also have to support them and believe in them being there, and also appreciate them being there and look after them. And that's one thing I've really learned, because I've done so many years of volunteer work myself, so I know when it feels good to be appreciated. And sometimes you just sit there and you go, they don't really care about me here. They just want me to do the work and get out. And so I'm like, yeah, no, that's enough of me, right? So let's get back to the our Incredi-Girl. So, like I said earlier, we're going to do 3 of 3 only as a art poster cover variant of this one here, which you see on the screen, of the before the London Eye. So that's what that is behind there. That's in London. That's the London Eye. Now our let me see. Let's do a update. I'll refresh and see if we've gone over the goal anymore. We're still at 964, which is $64 over our US dollars over our campaign. So I feel kind of a bit more secure now and safe. But thank you guys. Like, please share, like seriously, please share our link out to people. I would really appreciate more support here in getting the word out about it. Because the more people, the more people hear about it, the more support we get, the more funds we are able to raise, and the more we can do with those funds. And and of course, whatever our guys are, contracted to work on this work, they'll get that, because I don't deal with that. That's out of my hand. I just ask for work to be done. So yeah, so please, like, share, and subscribe, and also share this link out to everybody to let them know now it's funded, and I feel like it will stay funded. We've got, I think it's 21 hours to go, which means I'll be coming in earlier tomorrow, maybe about 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock tomorrow to do this final update, and we'll let you know what time we're on beforehand. And please, thank you for everything. It feels so good. But like I said, I've been in my head for about a whole month with this thing, and also a year trying to get this out. So you might not see me being very excited about it, but I am, because it's finally getting this out to the world, like in print, like this full color, full color, all ages book, right? And the other thing I want to share with you guys is that let me just get this other page up. So there is other stuff we got coming out, and one of them happens to be that we're looking to put out is this really cool let me change the page. Really cool web comic called PJ and Shibi. Right. So, right. So as you can see there, this is something that we've worked on, and with a Greek artist, Konstantino Petroselis. And I created this thing myself. You don't see the name on this one because we did it last year. But it's kind of like a co-creation, but you know, it's such a cool thing. Like it's basically about an anthropomorphized, if I said it right, anthropomorphic teddy bears living in New Zealand, right? And it's about pop culture. It's about modern culture. It's about like politics. It's about satire. It's about PJ here, right? PJ here, and his daughter Shibi there, and PJ's trying to come to terms with being I guess a boomer or a Gen X with a millennial kid, right? 18-year-old kid who's just finished high school, and and it's just you know this one's called Apology Tour, right? And this at the time, this was a big thing. People coming up and apologizing, like some company had done something, they had to apologize that we did this and all that. So we do this little cool little thing. This is my the political satire comedy thing, taking having fun with stuff, and so check it out. It's on our Plunge comics page under, I think it's under free comics. Yeah, it's under web comics, as you can see there, under the Incredi-Girl one. And there's also this lockdown series I did which is called Two Speech Bubbles Debating. So this is just, someday we'll get artwork done for this, but it's just debate, talking about, just dialogue. And so there is that as well. Now, why won't you click me out? Right. So, and then of course, as I mentioned, we've got the Incredi-Girl one up there as well. And you can see the original logo I did for that, which had the silver fern in the back. They must have said, yeah, maybe that's not a good thing to have, So we took that away, right? Whatever, I just thought she was right because, and so this is the web comic we've got, so you can see here, and there's 2 issues are out, and it's, it's a web comic. All right, and it's got the gradient tools and all that work. I did a few of the bits of work on here, like with the bubbles and the gradients. The art itself is by Mike Burbank. We did this quite a while back, a decade or so ago, right? And so maybe even over a decade ago. But yeah, so that's that. And this is our team of volunteers that help us sometimes, and regulars and stuff, and they have their own thing. They do their own thing. Mark Kelly, he runs 5 Elements Media. He's got his own podcast and stuff. Ethan here, he's got his own store he just opened this past week. Jason's been helping me forever. We had a guest last year, Judy. You can see Lynette here. She's a cosplayer. We supported her and to help us, and designed the new costume. Of course, there's me in the middle. And this is our event we had last year, I think, and we finally got to get out. So this is from last year's. I think was this from this year? Yeah. So this is this year's. This year's last this April's flyer. So yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. I want to finish off and just want to thank you guys for everything that you guys have done for us here in support of our comic book. It's just, yeah. So this is the web comic that I got printed, but this is the same cover, right? That you'll see as a variant cover, as well as a version variant that is done by my best friend Shane Evans, and thank you guys for joining me here, and I really appreciate your support, hanging out with me and watching. And make sure to share the link out, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you, New Star. Hey, by the way, Hey, I would love to interview you sometime, man, on our podcast, on our Plunge cast. It'll be so cool. And let me know. Yeah, hit me up. Send me an email at sm.plungestudios. It's on here, right? You can find it here. And so thank you for joining us. And on our About page on YouTube. So thank you so much. And we'll catch you next time. Kakitano, wherever you are, guys, be well, be safe, and we'll see you